who was in the leadership in the Communist Party in the late 60s? But more specifically, what was the leadership like? I mean, how did it function specifically in Seattle and Washington State? How did it work?
The head of the party here was a man named Milford Sutherland. I don't know a lot about his history. He was in his 50s, I think, when I joined. And he was the district organizer from sometime in the early 60s until the mid-70s. B.J. McGowan, who's also being interviewed, was organizational secretary for a lot of that time until she became the chair or district organizer in 75 or 76. You know, Milford and B.J., a number of other people, but Milford, how it functioned, there's a great experience I had with Milford that I've told this story several times to people. I think in 1972 there was an expo in Spokane, and there was a Soviet exhibit at it, which was like the first time they'd had anything like this in years in this state. So we went over for it, a carload of people went over for it and did some other thing. We had some meetings in Spokane with a few people there. And on the way back, we were talking. Milford was in the back seat and I was in the front seat. And we were talking about all kinds of politics. And I said, I was all of 20 at the time, and said, my commitment was to the party and to a working class approach. But, I thought that sort of somewhere down the road a little bit, the party and the Black Panther Party and some of the groups that came out of SDS would come together, and then we'd have a really revolutionary party. And basically Milford said, well, I don't think so, but we'll see. Time will tell. And indeed, most of those other organizations disappeared in one way or another. Some of it because they were targeted by the government, but some of it from implosion from their own failed politics. And that was a great lesson to me, because not sort of on the spot, but he listened to me. He said, interesting viewpoint. I'm not sure you're right, but let's let life tell us who's right and wrong. I'm not going to say it can't happen. I'll just, you figure it out for yourself. And indeed, I saw that many of those groups, which sounded more militant, which acted more militant, which thought of themselves as more militant, didn't have the staying power. So that was one very positive experience I had with Milford. He was a very thoughtful, very smart, very careful guy, very, a self-taught Marxist, very, very smart. There's a saying that I have, not unique to me, but that unity is not unanimity, that we make a big deal of fighting for unity wherever we are. Milford would have agreed, but in practice he thought we needed unanimity. So he was of the school that you kept meeting. If you didn't agree 100%, you kept meeting until you did. So that led to a lot of long meetings. And when I came in, there was, even among the young people, the youth organization, we'd have, we'd start meeting at 7 and go till 11 or 11:30, and it was kind of way too much to sustain.
Right.
You can't sustain an organization with that. You want to use that enthusiasm and that commitment and that energy, but you don't want to burn it out. And a lot of coalitions and organizations do that. They burn people. They take it all and burn people out. And we're, I hope, trying to learn from our mistakes and realize that to have a sustainable organization over a long period of time, you have to recognize that people have lives and families and jobs and personal crises and other things they're trying to do, and ask from them as much as you can get from them, but not make unreasonable demands, because if you do, you can't sustain it. You end up driving people away. So I hope that we're shooting more for an emphasis on unity and learning that to live with less than unanimity, which is what you end up with anyway, so you might as well not try and force the issue.